service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line. Betting weekly tennis live. Are you ready for it? Here we go.
Welcome to Betting Weekly Tennis Live, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jawani, with me Nigel Seeley. We've got so much in-play action to look at, and right now we've got ATP events in Hertogenbosch and Stuttgart, and WTA events also in Hertogenbosch and at Queen's Club in London. We had a couple of rain delays today in the Netherlands, but we've got, as I say, we've got plenty of live action. Nigel, any of the matches taking your fancy at the moment?
Hello, good evening to everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Yes, there's a couple of I've got a position on the game between Sramkova and Krejcikova. I took the plus 175 Sramkova at the beginning of the match, and also bet a plus 3.5. She took the first set 6-4. She's 2-2 in the second set, so I don't want her to go a double breakdown for my handicap bet or my money line bet. Minus 103 now currently Krejcikova with Bet Rivers, minus 127 Sramkova, and the total there is 27.5. So the market is suggesting that Krejcikova will sort of keep that, maintain that break that she has and take the second set. I watched that first set in that match, and Sramkova was very, very good, and Krejcikova didn't look, the movement was pretty poor. She's had a torrid year with injuries, and I mean, I still think that Sramkova can grind her down. And even if it went to a third set, sometimes you want to have a rebase in a player. The seeded player goes into the third set, wins the second set as a rebase. But I think Krejcikova going to a third set, a long match, I think that she suits the younger girl. So Sramkova has definitely caught my eye. On the men's matches, I'm looking at the game between Alex Michelsen and Gael Monfils, which was quite competitive just before we went live. And Alex Michelsen has just taken the first set. The American is now minus 455 with Bet Rivers, and Gael Monfils was plus 310. And the other game, which is quite interesting, probably the most interesting betting match of the day, actually, at the moment as we go live, is Reilly Opelka against Jesper de Jong over in Hertogenbosch. As you say, the tournament there has been delayed all day with rain. Reilly Opelka got beat yesterday. He was pretty poor in his defeat yesterday, and he got beat by Lajal, the Estonian young kid who's got a real big serve, and he beat Reilly Opelka. And I watched that match, and I bet Reilly Opelka, and Reilly Opelka didn't move at all well. And Jesper de Jong, I think, could definitely beat Reilly Opelka if it goes into a third set. He might even beat him in straight sets. So Jesper de Jong caught my attention at minus 142, and I'm hoping for Sramkova. And I quite like Sramkova on the money line here at minus 140 as well. I think she's going to get the better of what I don't think is 100% fit Krejcikova.
Yeah, Krejcikova, as you say, torrid time with injury, the reigning Wimbledon champion. Did get past the first round at Roland Garros, but then went out to Veronika Kudermetova. Just to bring you update with some of the other matches going on, and just as we speak, Nigel, Jesper de Jong has got the break back against Reilly Opelka in that second set. So it's back on serve, 4-5 de Jong. He's minus 295. Of course, he won the first set. Opelka plus 215. And as we know, beating Opelka on grass is no mean feat because he's huge and he's a massive server. So that would be a good win. Other matches going on. Otto Virtanen against Thomas Martin Etcheverry. First set tiebreaker. That one, Virtanen 5-3 up, and he's serving. So he's favourite to win that first set. Minus 400. Etcheverry plus 280 there. You mentioned Michelsen, Monfils have just got underway in the second set. Now, in Hertogenbosch, a couple of interesting women's matches going on. And the two-time champion, Ekaterina Alexandrova, she's a breakdown at the moment to Marianne Bolk-Vadse, but she has got break point to level at 3 apiece. The Russian is minus 670. Bolk-Vadse is plus 420. And Danielle Collins has taken the first set against Greet Minnen, who won the Challenger in Birmingham at the weekend. Collins took a tight first set. Minnen has a break early in the second, So she's 1 love up. She's got advantage in the second game. Collins -295 in play. Minnen +215. Of course, you can watch all the action and bet in play with Bet Rivers. And I should just, as she just mentioned, Anne Lee has taken the first set against Anastasia Potapova. So that would be an upset. And she's got break point on the opening game of the second set. So Lee -345, Potapova +250. So plenty of in-play action. Nigel, when there's so much action going on,
more bets. I actually I like Minnen, yeah. She's $2 to beat Danielle Collins. I quite like that. I've when we spoke about this tournament on the WTA show, I thought Danielle Collins was a fade this week, and the market tends to not want to oppose people who have had a big week the week before. Obviously, Minnen has won the tournament in Birmingham. She's 5-0 that week and 5-0 on grass this season, and she's up against an opponent in Collins who's only won 10 of her 21 matches on grass. I mean, she's had a really, really bad few years on grass. Her Wimbledon record is atrocious. You know, she's at the end of her career. And I think the proven player there, Minnen, with the setup, I liked her pre-match, but I think now at 2-1, she was plus 145 pre-match, and now she's $2. I think she's a great. I think that's where I'll definitely be betting in play now. My eyes are sort of flick through at key moments in matches. So I'll have the television screen watching on, but I'll play at key moments in matches. So when there's someone like 30 or on their serve or something like that, like Sramkova's now love 40, Krejcikova's love 40 on the Sramkova serve, but the line has moved to 250. That's a big cheer for me. So where I'm looking at now, and then I concentrate on the matches that I really want to get involved in. So, you know, the Schneider game is over from a betting perspective. The Alexandrova's got the break back. That's pretty much over from a betting perspective. I rule out Mickelson, Monfils, unless there's something changing there, and I concentrate on the matches where they're quite close. And for that reason, I'm looking at the Minnen match and I'm looking at the Krejcikova match on the women's at the moment and just trying to play around those. But I do think Danielle Collins is a bit of a fade for this week, and Krejcikova just been broken back. Sramkova is definitely the much better player in that match, and Krejcikova looks about at 60-70% fitness levels.
Yeah, as you say, Sramkova getting that break back 2 apiece in the second set, and she's in charge of that match. I really could do with Minnen winning because I've had a couple of miserable days. So I had Yannick Sinner to win the French Open. Actually, we did have a comment, I think, from Ming saying, "Will Sinner have a hangover from that French Open collapse?" Here we go. How much of a hangover do you think he'll have? And I was on Sinner for the tournament, so that was disappointing. And then yesterday, I had Zhang Shui to beat Ayla Tomljanovic in the qualifiers at Queen's. And Zhang had 3 match points in a second set tiebreak and blew them and then lost the match. So I'm hoping for a change of luck. But Sinner, what do you reckon? Do you think there'll be much of a hangover? I mean, Wimbledon, you know, probably not his best surface grass.
Do you know what? I think it is. I think Sinner is a better grass court player. Yeah, I do. I think he's you know, his record hasn't been that great there, but he burst onto the scene there, really took Novak Djokovic close. He was 2 sets to love up against Novak Djokovic a few years back, wasn't he? And he blew it. But I don't think it will phase him. I think he's thinking to himself, well, I'm on the rebound. The only concern for me is that going into 5 sets. That's the only concern. That's always been the concern with Sinner. The one thing the big takeout from the week was that the top 2 are just in a league above everybody else. Absolutely. And I don't think he's really will be that concerned. He's only going to run into Alcaraz in the final, and he's going to play. You know, he can't beat anybody else. I mean, there's nobody else in the draw that you would be that worried about, Sinner or Alcaraz. They're going to meet in the final if they get that far. And what did he do wrong for the first 2 sets? Absolutely nothing. He just Alcaraz raised his levels in that service game at love 40 to different world-class levels and just had an inspiring moment. The other thing that Yannick Sinner had to overcome was a very, very passionate home support, well, more or less a home support for Alcaraz.
Yeah. You
won't get that at Wimbledon. It's much more relaxed. It's much more, you know, they're much more respectful of the players. It won't be like a football match like it was there on the Philip Chatrick course. So I don't think he's going to worry too much. I think apart from just one game, you know, and then the way he fought back as well in 5th set to break Alcaraz, and it went down to a tiebreak. You know, it's cigarette paper margins between the two of them. He's the favourite to win Wimbledon with Bet Rivers, Sinner. And again, the draw's important, but the two of them, that's going to be the first of many major finals. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him play out the final at Wimbledon Centre Court and in the final at the US Open on Ash.
Yeah, very exciting times. I mean, it was 5.5 hours it was. I mean, it was an incredible match, One thing I'm really glad this week, I mean, I do enjoy grass court tennis, but seeing, the women at Queen's Club for the first time. And one thing I noticed at Roland Garros, which was really disappointing, was the pretty poor crowds for the women's matches, even in the later stages. And at Queen's Club, it's packed from the start. I mean, the crowds are great. The atmosphere is really good. So for me, that's really good to see. And they're watching some good tennis. They had Katie Bolter got through early, Emma Raducanu's through as well in Queens. And so there's plenty for the home crowd to cheer. But going back to sort of Wimbledon, you're sort of saying Sinner, Alcaraz. Is there anyone outside the big two that you could see possibly troubling them?
Well, Jack Draper's going to be a force to be reckoned with, but the price doesn't represent any value for me at single figures. I mean, he's another one who struggles in 5 sets, and you've got to remember, if the weather forecast, if the weather conditions in London get very, very hot, it's going to be very, very testing to go 5 sets in grass. The only good thing about Wimbledon is that the points are a lot quicker than they are on clay, so he has got that advantage. He's going to be a factor, but I couldn't bet him at the price. I've had one bet already. I've bet a couple of massive prices. I've bet Musetti at a huge price. I think I bet him at 80-1 or something like that. He's currently, what is he with Bet Rivers now? I think he's around about, I think they're still 75-1 Bet Rivers. They're the best price. I think that's a big price. Obviously, he's got fitness concerns, which he's got to overcome. He retired in his match against Alcaraz in the French Open, but a semi-finalist last year. And the other one I bet is Hurkacz. I mean,
yeah. I think I followed you in on him.
He's 80-1. He's 80-1 currently with Bet Rivers again, which I think is a big price. Mensik 70-1 with Bet Rivers. I mean, his serve is unplayable at times. So there'll be the three that I'll be looking at. I'd much rather bet them at 70, Mensik 70, Musetti 75, and Hurkacz 80 than I would do Medvedev at 40s, Zverev at 20s, and Taylor Fritz at 33. So that'd be three that I would take against the book. And obviously, Berrettini, if he can get fitness, which is a big, big question mark, but 100-1 Berrettini, if he can come here with some kind of form, on paper, he's probably in the top 5. Well, he is in the top 5 grass court players in the world. But it's all about fitness for him. So there's a few against the favourites, but the market is 1.5 and 1.7. It's almost an 80% probability that one of those two are going to win it. So we'll have to see what goes on.
Absolutely. Let's have a look. I was going to say today's action, but because of the rain delays we've had in Rosmalen, Hertogenbosch, some of these matches, they've actually been delayed until tomorrow. The first match we're going to look at is between Adrian Mannarino, who must be getting near 40, mustn't he? The Frenchman. He's up against Chris O'Connell. Mannarino -143, O'Connell +117. The spread 1.5 games. Total games set at 23.5. Now, Mannarino lost to Alexander Bloch, so he's here as a lucky loser. These two have met once before on a hard court at Winston-Salem in 2022, and Mannarino won that in 3 sets. What's your view of this match, Nigel?
Well, my view of this match is that Mannarino's a very lucky man to be in this match, but O'Connell, and he's even more luckier because he's been given a draw against an opponent that is in absolutely shocking form. He's won 8 of his last 9 matches, O'Connell. The last time he won was in the first round in Madrid at altitude, and prior to that, he didn't win on the tour since Bucharest in April. So he's had an awful run. And he's been getting beat quite heavily as well. He got beat 3-0 in the French Open. The Birmingham Challenger, he got beat in the first round by Moreno del Alboron, that famous grass court player. And O'Connell in that match was -$3 to win that match, and he got beat by Alboron. That is not the good form that you want. Mannarino come through a bit of an epic, though, against Bloch. It was a long match. And obviously, he's at his age, you've got to be wary of him. That might take a lot out of him, but he's got a brilliant record in this tournament. He's won this tournament before. He's got a brilliant grass court record. And the only time they've ever met, they met in Winston-Salem in 2022. And Mannarino won that match 6-7, 7-6, 6-7, 7-6. There was 39 games in the maximum that you could possibly have in a 3-set tennis match. And I was drawn towards total games here. I looked at the total games market, and I thought over 23.5 on a grass court, a quick grass court at even money was the bet. Both of them need to win for varying reasons. O'Connell needs a win of anything to have any and should give him some confidence going into Wimbledon. Mannarino is always a proven player on grass, and I think that overs. I think 23.5 is a nice bet, because if we look at these overs on these two tournaments this week on the men's side, they're all like 25.5, 26.5, 24. 23.5 is quite a low number. And when you look at a head-to-head between the two of them, that has gone the maximum. 3 tie breaks. That is a bet that I quite like. You could also bet a tie break in the match with Bet Rivers. I think that could be another nice angle to look at. But I think that one there will be a very, very long match. I mean, look at some of the matches tomorrow here. We've got Struff against Lehecka, total games 25.5. And Petchy Perigard, Felix Auger-Aliassime, 26.5. Hichigard to Dan Evans, 23.5. Bautista Agut Hurkacz, 23.5. This is the lowest game line out of all of them and the biggest price for over. And I think it's a big price. So even money would be my bet. Yeah,
just saying that total number of tie breaks, over a half a tie breaks, odds that there is a tie break is plus 118.
It's a big price.
It is a big price. But you're going for the over 23.5, and you could easily get that with in 2 sets. You could get that in 2 sets.
And you got to remember Mannarino in his match here in the final qualifying against Blocks, the final set went to a tiebreak. So that is sort of another thing to bear in mind. He does play tiebreaks, history of tiebreaks, a tiebreak in the match at plus money. I think actually, given the 2 options, I'd probably play a tiebreak at plus money rather than the over 23.5. But I do think both of them are a little bit of value in a match that I expect to be quite long. Both players needing to win, not in the greatest of form. And they have history between the two of them, a long match. So I'm looking at a long match in that one.
So that's one of the matches tomorrow. Speaking of tie breaks, Reilly Opelka's in a tie break against Jesper de Jong.
What a shock that is.
Yeah, exactly. And Opelka's got the mini break. He's 2-1 up in that tie break. He dropped the first set. The big American plus 155 to win, de Jong minus 205. As you say, if he's not moving very well, the third set could be a bit of a struggle for him, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's played a big long match yesterday, a match today. Hasn't played a lot of tennis this year. But the only truth, de Jong his grass court record is useless. I mean, he's a clay court player. His record on grass is pretty poor, but he's already, to prove he can break that serve. It wouldn't surprise me to see that go down to a final set tiebreak. It wouldn't surprise me. The interesting one now is that Danielle Collins is in a bit of trouble in that second set. She's 4-1 down, and Minnen is now 30 love on her serve. So she's going to go 5-1, and she's vying for favoritism now. She's plus 112. If she wins that second set, which she looks like she's going to win that second set, I can see her starting the final set around about even money. Danielle Collins is definitely someone that you want to oppose on a quick grass court, and this is a quick grass court against an opponent who is in the best form of the year so far. A winner on grass already and unbeaten. And I think that now, Minnen at plus 116. I know I suggested it at 2-1 at the start of the show, but even now, anything above plus money, I want to be in Minnen to beat Collins.
Yeah, going well for the Belgian there. Just see a couple of comments. One was, will Hurkacz win? I guess that's referring
today
to
against. I think he's
playing later, is he?
I think he's playing Roberto Bautista Agut. Which we previewed the show about that match yesterday with Sean, and Sean's angle was to look at the games. He thought, again, 23.5 was a high number. I mean, these are 2 of the quickest courts of the year. The first set overs, all those different angles that we like. Roberto Bautista Agut and Hurkacz is later on tonight. It's the last match on court at 6:30. The only thing I would say about that is obviously the later you go, the cooler conditions are, which could bring the number down. But 23.5, again, is a cheap number. I think 23.5 is a really, really cheap number for these early grass court matches and best of 3 sets. I think it should be 24.5, 25, especially in Stuttgart, where it's really quick.
Yeah, I've been crunching some of the numbers, and since this is the first time the women are playing at Queen's, but Queen's for the men last year was really quick, and it's looking like it's really quick for the women as well. So overs games, generally might be the way forward on a lot of these matches.
Well,
Because
let's have a look at
quick.
look at today's results. I mean, we can just have a look at today's results and just quickly see what they were like in terms of over. So the Hertogenbosch, we've had 3 completed games and all of them have gone over. Reilly Opelka is going to go over. Ferdinand is definitely going to go over. So, well, the 7-6 in the first set probably will go over. But we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 tie breaks in those 4 matches in the Hertogenbosch today, and that was in overcast conditions with rain around. If you look at Stuttgart, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've had 7 matches in Stuttgart. 6 of them have gone over. The only one that hasn't gone over was the Hubert Zuma match.
That didn't finish.
Finish the match. And the other one that didn't go over was the match between Fuchsovic and Hanfmann. But that's still coming at 22. Every other match cashed over. Teen against Nishioka would have gone over 6-7, 7-6. Hertogenbosch on the women, 4 matches completed. 3 of them have gone over. And 3 of them have gone to a final set. One of them, only one match was a straight sets win. And to Queen's Club, a few of them have gone under. The 2 that have gone over was Polter, Tomljanovic, and Mukova for English. The others have gone under, but they were very, very, a lot of them quite heavy favourites. I mean, Schneider was a heavy favourite. Raducanu was a very, very heavy favourite. So it's definitely been a day for overs, and it's definitely been a day for tie break betters. And I think that will continue because the weather forecast tomorrow is going to be, and the rest of the week is going to be hotter and hotter in the UK and hotter across Europe, in Germany, and where these tournaments, and Holland, where these tournaments are being played. So I think that will really help on the over betters.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Barbora Krejcikova is going to take her match into a final set because, she's going with serve at the moment. She's 3-4, but she's love 30 against Rebecca Sramkova.
This will be good. This will be a good day for me.
This could be good. It could be very good. Sramkova's currently minus 1430 in play. Krejcikova plus 650. I suspect it's gone love 40 there.
Do you know why I bet her, Rory? I tell you, sometimes a lot of people come onto the comments and listen to us and listen to our advice. Some things go well, some things don't go well. But there's so many knowledgeable people in the comments group. And a guy was in our comments group on the WTA show, and he kept on tweeting, or he kept on posting that Sramkova, he put it in twice, Sramkova will beat Krejcikova. And I looked at it, I thought, you know what, he's probably right there. Krejcikova isn't fit. It was probably a bet that I probably should have seen. But because of that guy, I can't remember his name, and I give him credit when we do our show on Sunday. But because of that guy, I bet her at plus 175 because she drifted. She was like 140. She drifted to plus 175 on the offer. Wow. Because I think that everybody thought that, she's playing the Wimbledon champion and she wouldn't win. But clearly, from the evidence of what we've seen, Krejcikova is nowhere near the levels that won her the title last year in SW19. But look at the comments. There's some really good comments from people. So that's why we urge you to put your bets down and let us know what you think.
Yeah, there's a lot of tennis. We can't keep an eye on all of it. We can't follow all the players. So if you've got an angle or something, there's a fair chance you're going to know more than we are on some things. And Sramkova indeed has got that break. And now she's serving for the match. 5-3, 15 love. You can't bet on Sramkova now.
And Minnen has just taken the second set and going into the final set. Look at this for a rebase. Look at this for a rebase, though, because Danielle Collins here was about minus 220 pre-match. Going into the final set, Minnen is minus 139. And that is a huge rebase from what you saw at the start, from the odds at start. And that was plus 120 2 points ago. I never thought she'd start minus 139. I thought it'd be a pick 'em, or she might even still be outsider. Now the market shift is massive for Minnen. We said at the beginning that was the bet in play. And everybody wants the market wants to be with Minnen. Danielle Collins looks as though she's downing tools in that second set as she got something to come back and fight for. I doubt it very much on this surface.
Feels like a little bit of an overreaction, though, doesn't it? Minnen sort of quite heavy odds, minus odds.
I just think it's all about. I think with Danielle Collins, I'm not actually watching. I'm watching Mickelson Monfils, but I think her body language tells 1,000 stories, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, if she's absolutely pumped and fancies it, if she's just going through the motions, that would suggest to me that she's having an off day and she doesn't fancy it. And just looking at her, I mean, if you look at her grass court form, for a player that's done as much in the game as she is, I mean, it's really woeful. And, she doesn't like this time of year. She likes the American hard court and season. And maybe she just come over here, picks up a few quid, gets some money, gets her first round money at Wimbledon and goes back. But she's not a player that you want to be fighting for your life in if she doesn't fancy it. If she fancies it and the New York crowd are behind her, or she's in Miami and the sun's beating down on the back, she might fight for it. But a late evening in Hertogenbosch, nah, she wouldn't. I don't think she fancied that.
Yeah, thanks to the comment from Grazer, because he mentioned that Opelka looks really wooden, but he's won the second set and he's drawn level. He's won the tie break and he's the favourite, although it's just suspended. But Opelka was -129 to win the decider. De Jong even money, but De Jong serving first.
Big advantage, isn't it?
Big advantage in the fight. Yeah, it's not so much an advantage for the women, but for the men, it's definitely a big advantage to be serving last in the final set. Let's look at more of tomorrow's action. I think we'll stick in Hertogenbosch. And we've got Laslo Djere up against Mark Lajal. We mentioned Lajal beating Reilly Opelka yesterday in qualifying. As I said, there's no mean feat on the grass court. And Djere is a clay court specialist. So that's probably why the odds are as they are. Lajal -148, Djere +117, the spread 1.5 games. Totals, as you say, Nigel, it's quite cheap on the totals, 23.5. What do you think of this one?
Well, this was my best bet. I bet Lajal this morning at -125. There was a huge amount of move for him. And it was on the back of what I saw yesterday against Opelka. He blitzed Opelka. 7-6, 6-3. He kept with him in the tiebreak, won by 7-3. He blitzed him in the second set, and he looked to me like a proper player. He's come through qualifying here to get this far. He hasn't dropped a set. Big serve. He's in the top 200 of the world, but he hasn't really done much in his career. But this is the time of the year where he comes alive, and I like him. Laslo Djere, on the other hand, on grass is absolute. Talking about people who have got the one. He hasn't won a grass match since 2023, and in his career, he's only won 7 grass court matches out of 23 matches. So this is someone who thrives on grass, even though his world ranking is very low. And you've got an opponent here who hates this time of year and just wants to be back on the clay. So I love this spot for I can't remember what's the kid's name. I can't remember. Oh, Lajal. Yeah. I love this spot for him, but I think that the line might have changed. It gone a little bit. -125 to compared to like -148. I think that may be a little bit of move, but that's why I'm going to put him in to my daily double for tomorrow. He's going to be my first leg of my daily double. Mark Lajal, he's already carrying my money, but at -140 weight, I'm putting him in my first leg of my daily double.
So there you go. A very strong pick from Nigel there for Mark Lajal. Those matches we've looked at actually taking place tomorrow. They were scheduled for today, but because of the rain, they're going to take place tomorrow. Sticking with Hertogenbosch, Jordan Thompson is up against Gabriel Diallo, the Canadian. Thompson -190, Diallo +150. One win apiece on the head-to-head, but Thompson far more experienced on the grass. Do you think that will prove decisive, Nigel?
I like what I've seen, Gabriel Diallo. And my next bet in my daily double is Diallo +2.5 here. I don't think Jordan Thompson's fit. I watched him yesterday. He did okay, but I don't think he's fit. He's got a brilliant record in this tournament, don't get me wrong. But he beat Kovacevic, who wasn't really up to anything. But I just not think he won 6-4, 6-4, but I don't think he's fit. Gabriel Diallo, I watched him play Vukic yesterday. It was a long match, 7-5, 7-6, but this boy, he can hit the ball hard. He's got a whopper of a forehand, a brilliant serve, and he's a player that I think could break into the top 30 in the world in the next few months or so. Really like what I see. Beat Francisco Cerundolo at French Open. Then he got beat by Griekspoor, but I think to take out Cerundolo in round one, it's always a fade. But I got a feeling Diallo could do something here. They met twice before, one win apiece. Last time was 2023-22. But I like him on the spread. I'm going to take Diallo plus 2.5, wasn't it? 2.5 at minus 130.
136. Yeah. So
That's
that's
my
the
daily
second
double.
part. That's the second part of the daily double. We'll give you an update on that at the end of the show, but that's Lajal on the money line and Diallo plus 2.5 makes up Nigel's daily double. Moving on to Stuttgart, Taylor Fritz against Quentin Halys. We've just got money line odds for that at the moment. Fritz minus 350, Halys plus 250. Halys is quite useful on grass, isn't he, with his serve?
He's very useful in glass, and he played very well today against Lorenzo Sonego. He dropped the first set, come back, fought his way back. He's had a great run. Got to the third round of the French Open, got beat by Holgaroon, beat Mahak, beat Kekmanovic, went really deep in Dubai. I think it was the semi-finals there. Should have beaten Felix Auger-Aliassime, or quarterfinals, should have beaten Felix Auger-Aliassime. And the fact he's got the advantage of playing the match already here in Stuttgart. Taylor Fritz is in probably the worst slump of his career. Lost 4 of his last 5 matches. Beaten first round of French Open by Altmaier. Got beat in the Geneva quarterfinal by Hurkacz. Awful in Rome. Really poor in Madrid. I think he's vulnerable, Fritz. I know that he's a player that with the big serve, people like him to do well or want to get with him to do well on the quicker surfaces. But Quentin Halys is a real proper player, and I don't think he's got nothing to worry about. I quite like him on the money line, but I prefer him on the handicap when the game line comes out. If you can get 3.5 of that kind of price, I want to be with Halys, because there is a good chance here that this could be a 7-6, 7-6, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6, 7-6-4 type of match. I don't think the blowout factor is huge here. So that to get with Halys with a 3.5 start is a good bet.
Yeah, that's the ATP action tomorrow looked at. And tomorrow at Queen's Club in London, Emma Navarro, your outright pick for the tournament. She's up against Beatriz Haddad Maia, who knocked out my long shot Petra Kvitova yesterday. Dropped the first set, Haddad Maia, but then was pretty good in the next 2. Didn't drop serve after the first set. Navarro minus 186, Haddad Maia plus 150. Spread 3.5 games, totals 21.5. What do you reckon to this one?
I think it's a tricky little match. I think both of them are players that could do with a run here. Navarro hasn't played since that humiliation at the French Open. You know, I like her for the win the tournament, but I think this could be quite a long testing match. They played each other 5 times before, all on clay. They've been involved in some long battles, and I think that you would have to give Navarro the edge on her proven grass court form. I mean, she's gone deep at Wimbledon before. She's a player that can play on grass. But saying that, Haddad Maia can play on grass. You can go back to 2022. She won the tournament in Birmingham. She won the tournament in Nottingham. And she got to the semi-finals of the tournament in Eastbourne. Her Wimbledon record isn't that great, but she can play on grass as well. So I think this one will be a long one. And I'll be interested to see what the games is coming up. It's there, 21.5. Minus 137, maybe a little bit too low. I might go 22.5 and play it at plus money. But tomorrow, I will be at the Queen's Cup at Wimbledon. So if you want to get any information or any in-play advice, you'll be able to do so on our Instagram account at Because We Win. I'll be there giving you some information, and I'll be cheering Navarro on tomorrow because I'm on her at 14-1 to win the tournament.
Absolutely. Just quickly bring you up to date with what's going on in play. And Danielle Collins has an early break in the 3rd set.
You did say you thought
not gone to plan.
Jesper Jong's got a break point now. He's just gone. He just saved it with Opelka, big serve. But Reilly Opelka is one of these players that people just think because he's his size that he can win on. His movement is so poor that the market just gets a little bit overexcited by him because he's a big guy like Ivo Karlovic. Remember all those years ago?
Oh yes, the big Croatian. Yes. Yeah, but it's hard, but the I suppose on the flip side, it's so hard to break them. I remember Sam Querrey having good runs at Wimbledon, and he was, similar. I remember him beating Andy Murray one time. I think he might have been Djokovic another time. And, he's just a very hard man to beat because of his serve. But Opelka, De Jong, Deuce, early doors in that deciding set. What else is happening? Mickelson, Monfils. Monfils has a break point. Could go 5-4 up, and then he'd be serving for the set to level the match. Mickelson minus 200, Monfils plus 155. So that one could still have legs in it. With the women, Alexandrova looks to be in control now. Had dropped her serve early on, but she won the first set. She's 2-1 up with a break in the second. Collins 40 love up on serve, 1 love up in the decider against Greek Minnen. So the American in charge at the moment, but still a long way to go in that. Nigel, before we go, let's run through your daily double again.
Yeah, just say Monfils has taken that break. So that's another match. If he holds on serve, it's another match that will cash on the overs. Overs is definitely the way to go on these tournaments. My daily double for tomorrow, Lajal to beat Djere, -148 with Bet Rivers. And I'm going to go for the other one, which was, I can't remember what it was now. They're rushing.
Diallo.
That's it. Diallo, +2.5 on the games. I think that's going to be a long match, Diallo. In his match, he's playing Jordan Thompson. I think Jordan Thompson has got a brilliant record here, but I don't think he's 100% fit. And Diallo, what I saw yesterday, I like what I see. He's a big server. He can hit the ball hard. He's got a monster of a forehand. And I think he will be able to just cover that 2.5 spread. I don't think he'll cover it. I think he'll be able to overcome the 2.5 spread. So Diallo +2.5 and Lajal to beat Djere on the money line.
And the daily double pays +192. So
that'll do.
Be bad.
That'll
that wouldn't be bad. So fingers crossed for those, Nigel. Thanks again, as always.
Yep, no problem. And like I say, I'll be at tennis tomorrow. So if you want to have a look at what's going on at Queen's Club, anything I hear, any in-play action, there'll be obviously Betting Weekly Tennis Live will be on as well. But before that, you'll be able to do so. I'll be doing some videos from the tournament on our socials at Because We Win.
Will you be having a pint in the curtains up? That's the question. That's the pub down the road. Because
I've been there when there's been curtains down.
No, enjoy the tennis tomorrow. It's a great place to go, Queen's Club, and it's great that the women are playing there finally. The men will be there next week, and obviously it's always one of the big warm-up tournaments for Wimbledon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments, and make sure you're back tomorrow for some more Betting Weekly Tennis Live. And Nigel and I will be back for the WTA show at the weekend. Looking forward to more tournaments in the build-up to Wimbledon. Thanks again for your company, and we'll see you again soon.